in this video, I'm going to go over how to create a content calendar. And the content calendar, I usually use Google Calendar. So I would say the vast majority of my clients are probably going to be using Google Calendar. However, your CEO may have chosen to use an Asana or a Trello or some other option, and that's totally fine. But the essence is the same, and the workflow should be the same as well. Even if you're on a different platform, you can still replicate the principles of this, just put it on whatever platform you're using. Ultimately, what's going to look like is you're going to end up having a calendar that is mostly green, but then as you get closer and closer to recent time, you'll see that sometimes they're red and sometimes they're yellow. So you're going to end up having a calendar that is color-coded based on green, red, yellow, and I will talk about what those mean in a second. And you're going to have a content calendar that kind of looks something like this. This is like the ultimate visual of what you would see. So you are setting up your calendar for the first time. Myself or the CEO has given you a template. So for example, we've told you that we're going to create pods every Mondays at 5 a.m. We're going to do Instagram Reels and LinkedIn posts on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we are going to do a YouTube video on Tuesdays, and our email newsletter is also on Tuesday. Okay, so we've given you the formula. We've also told you what times of days those will be published. So you have that material already, and you just need to create the content. So you're going to go into here. You're going to say Mondays are podcast days. You're going to add the time. You're going to create the time at the time that the content would go live. So it's going to publish at 5 a.m. We'll just make it 5 to 5:15 for sake. And you're always going to set it to red. Also make sure that you're in the right calendar, your respective content calendar. You're going to always set it to red. That's really important. And the reason is because red means that it is not being created yet. So the content might have a title or a topic, but it doesn't actually have a script. It's not being recorded, it's not being edited, it's not actually in production flow. So it's going to automatically be set to red. You're then going to make sure that you repeat this every Monday, because we're going to have a podcast published every Monday at 5, and you're going to hit save. Then we decide that we're going to have a YouTube video on Tuesdays. So again, you're going to do the same thing, and we decide that this one is going to be published at 9 a.m. and this repeats every Tuesday, and it's also going to be set to red because it doesn't actually have any content yet. Now, if you have a content that is going to be set to multiple days, so let's say it's an IG post or reel, we may just make it both, so it's either or, like you either do a post or you do a reel, right? You're going to add time. Let's say we post on IG at 9 a.m. okay, but this is multiple days. So again, we're going to make sure that it's set to red, but we also know that we have this on multiple days. So instead, we're going to go to custom, and we're going to select the days that we're going to post our Instagram reel or post. We're going to hit Monday, Thursday, Friday, etc. Okay, and then we're going to hit done and save. We are also going to have a email newsletter on this day that goes live and it needs to be set to red. There we go. So now you have a content calendar that looks something similar to this. It's probably not going to be grayscaled because obviously I'm living in the past here, but yours would be more like colorful, right? But everything is set to red. Now what we need to do is schedule the content. Okay, so you would go into your podcast topics, or I will have already given them to you in your task card. And if you know what topic it is, then you'll go into podcast and you're going to start to put the topic here. So you'll put colon and you'll say how to scale with basket weaving. Let's say that's the topic of the podcast episode, okay? Now, let's say that you also know that the script has been generated and it's just waiting to be recorded. Then you're going to hit yellow, and you're going to make sure that it switches to yellow to signify that this is currently in flow. Now, once there is some sort of script, so once there is some sort of document in our team folder, and I've assigned it to either you and or the CEO, you need to make sure that the link shows up here. So you'll go into the team folder, you're going to pull that Google Doc URL, and you're going to put that URL here. Okay, so that anytime that someone needs to go straight to wherever the content is, that URL is always placed in that content calendar. Then you're going to hit save. Now this is really important because it is a repeat event. You always want to make sure that you only leave it on this event, because if you make these changes and then you switch it to this and following or all events, then now suddenly all of our podcast episodes are suddenly how to scale with basket weaving with that document. So whenever you make an edit to one of the events, make sure that you only make it this event. So now you can see it turned into yellow. Now let's say our YouTube video has a topic, and the topic is determined, and we also know that it is being created and that it's currently being edited. Okay, so what you would do is you would go into your YouTube script or wherever the folder is that we're keeping all of the drafts, whatever it may be, and you're going to insert that Google Drive folder link or the Google script link or the edited draft that your editor is creating, and you're going to make sure that is placed in here. And then you'll hit save and this event only. Okay, so now let's say that today is the 15th and you are doing your weekly audit of the Google Calendar to make sure that everything has its current status update. So once a week, we will determine what day of the week to do this. It doesn't have to be a Monday, but we're just going to say it's a Monday for the purpose of the SOP. Once a week, you will come in here and you will give some sort of refresher and make sure that all of the colors are still correct and all of the links are still correct. And so let's say today is the 15th. That means all of these should be green, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to go in here and you're going to pull the published link. So you're going to go to, if it's a podcast, you're going to go to Apple Published. You're going to go to Spotify, whatever it may be, whatever our main hub is for our podcast, and you're going to pull the URL of that and you're going to add it into the description box. So it should have both the draft version of the description in the description box and the completed version. In fact, we might actually end up having multiple drafts, multiple links in here, and that's perfectly okay. So for example, if you go into an Instagram one, you may find that it has the copy of the document, but it also has a link straight to a video within our Google Drive folder that the CEO has created, if it's a reel, for example. But then you're also going to add the finished, completed, published version. So you'll go into Instagram, grab the URL of that published content and placed that also in here. You're also going to make sure that when you're placing the published URL in here, you are then switching it to green. So the truth is that it can be switched to green as long as it is scheduled to publish. So if it is completely done, even if it's not published yet, if it is like 100% scheduled, formatted, uploaded, it literally just needs to go live on automatic, then you can hit green. So for example, let's say that this 16th one was on yellow. We'll just pretend it was on yellow, but I have completely finished it. The editor has completely finished it. CEO has completely finished it. It is scheduled, uploaded into YouTube Studio. It is 100% done. Then what we can do is still put that URL that it's, when it does go live, it'll be ready. It'll put that in here and then switch it into green so that even though the 16th hasn't happened yet, it's still already green. So again, we would have a document that looks a little bit like this where it has a bunch of green dots. These probably with yellow, maybe some of them would be green down here. And ultimately you would have something that kind of looks like this. Now, obviously I've just added a whole bunch of pretend ones here, so that's why they suddenly showed up. But ultimately you would end up with a content calendar that kind of looks like this, where you have some descriptions of certain ones, and it also has the link in there so that whoever needs to grab content in the future and needs to just pull a link really quickly, they can just go to our Google Calendar and pull the link. They don't need to go all the way up to YouTube Studio, find the button, and then no, that's just extra steps. We want to make sure that it's easy access to all of the respective posts. So obviously some of these don't have links because this was created a long time ago. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that in theory, if I was going in the back and I knew that, okay, I needed to find the one that was about the thread of Ask Dog, I wouldn't have to scroll all the way through Instagram. I would just find the one that I was looking for in the content calendar, grab that URL, and then I'd already have it. I wouldn't need to go searching for it.